And welcome to the Midday Show. We've got a good one for you today. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. First, we're going to talk about a graduation debacle. We've got some different takes on it. A student wasn't able to receive his diploma after wearing a flag of his heritage. We also want to talk about like proof of vaccination and what is that going to entail and what states are doing kind of as a loophole and how they're getting around it. And then we got some Quizzo. Unfortunately, John Mackey won't join us today. However, Quizmaster Senior over there with the specs on is going to ask me some questions, and hopefully you guys can play along and throw your answers in the comments. And then we'll end with the comments and some chatter. But the most important question of every day is, Mark, how are you feeling?
Well, it's just so bright in here.
It's unbearable, to be completely honest.
If you've ever worked with, like, Jeff likes to work in a cave, and it is like, I like light. I like to be awake. I like you show up for work. If Jeff's here first, then you kind of doze off on your way to the desk. And then he's just, right before he went on, he just started whining again. My God, it's so bright in here.
I think most people who have worked a 9 to 5 can relate to this. When certain places you work at, they have the panel lights up above that are literally like, they're the lights they use when they're interrogating somebody.
Oh,
like
stop it.
The only goal of the light is to like sterilize your thoughts and like not allow you to like sleep.
Because of all the times you've been interrogated, you have great history of this.
Literally, it's obnoxious. Like there's the difference between like reasonable and usable versus obnoxious. These lights are obnoxious. Yeah. They're bad.
We come in, we have lamps that are like candle lit. I don't know. What word am I looking for? What did they used to, they used to light the
wicks?
Yeah, but there was a word I'm looking for. Lanterns. That's the word. See how hard that word was to come up with? It's trivia day, and I can't even come up with lantern. It's a good thing I brought the questions, and I'm not answering it.
You're on top of your game today. Have you ever read about like the way you paint rooms?
I thought you were going to say about different wicks, and I was like, well, who the hell?
I've never read about wicks. But if you've read about how like if you spend a certain amount of time in a room,
I did know that.
Yes.
Well, I did, like for kids. I know they've said like, because everyone paints through. Do you paint it pink? Do you paint it baby blue? That there are intellectually stimulating colors and intellectually dumbing down colors.
Yes, lighting is the same way.
Is it? Or is this the Jeff theory?
No, this is true. Like depending on your lighting and where you are, like some people react to light differently, right? Like some people love sunshine, some people like rainy days. Like so the lighting can affect your mood and how you work and what you do. The biggest thing for me, and I've said this to you before, I can see my screen better when it's darker. Like when it's like this and it's like we're 10 feet away from the sun, like it is harder to see the screen.
10 feet from the sun.
Yes.
The reason that you can see it better in the dark has nothing to do with illumination. Like it's because when the lights are on, you're sobbing so hard you can't see through the tears.
It's 85 degrees outside, and I wore a long sleeve shirt today because I didn't want to get burnt from being this close to the rays.
You know what
the sun
I did never notice. I've often thought that my shirts look darker because this is navy and it looks black, and your shirt is like a peach color in real life.
It does not
there, it looks like Tennessee orange.
Yeah, no, this is more of like a summer peach that I went with.
So I didn't, anyway, but be that as it may, I am sorry. Maybe it has nothing to do with the screen. Maybe it's because of the blinding light has changed the color of your shirt.
It's possible. Listen, the light and I don't get along, so it only makes sense that it would turn it from orange to pink, or peach to orange. Graduation debacle. This is an interesting story. A student was not allowed to receive his diploma once he was on stage. You can see in the picture here, Ever Lopez is his name, and he was displaying a Mexican flag as he was walking up to the stage to collect his diploma. The school, however, refused to give him his diploma on stage, and as he walked off, the crowd kind of tried to, I don't want to say cheer him up because he looked like he was okay, but the crowd certainly tried to like make him recognize that it was all right and that, you know,
he got a big round of applause.
He got a big round of applause. A lot of different ways to go with this. We can talk about what the school district said and all of those things. For me, I will start here, and I think this kind of like it kind of like gives us a compass of what direction to go with. I think that when you're a school district, you get to pick your battles. And I am shocked that this is the battle that the school district picked to go with.
Well, it never surprises me that people who are in positions of power, who often didn't have to, I always say like in a school district, you don't, or it's not like you're the top salesperson. It's not like you're the top, you get promoted because you have the right degree or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And, to sit there, the kid has earned the diploma. So he's obviously going to get it anyway. You can't deny it because he's earned it. So he draped himself in a Mexican flag. This was in North Carolina, by the way. This was not, my first guess was Texas. This was in North Carolina. He's the first one in his family to graduate from high school.
Right.
But he's obviously of Mexican descent, probably really recent Mexican descent. And he draped in the Mexican flag. Now, the school claims we have dress code policies. You're allowed to do stuff on the top of your cap, I guess it's called. But you're not, he said, nobody ever told me I couldn't wear a flag. And he walks up on stage, they hand him the folder, but then when it comes for the handshake, they won't give him his diploma. It is not shocking to me that the genius was it the superintendent or was it the principal that was handing these out?
The principal is the one who basically stopped the diploma from being handed to him.
Okay. It is not surprising to me that
Can I rephrase that too? The principal is the one who physically, whether or not somebody told the principal, like if he walks up here with this flag, don't do it.
Okay.
But the principal is the one who physically would not give him the diploma.
It's not shocking to me that they're that out of touch, that they're like, this is going to play badly. And they've come out and given all this company line BS. They didn't want to make it a distraction from the other kids. And it is such an achievement. And we wanted to hold it with the highest respect. All they had to do, they shook the kid's hand. The kid got to walk across stage anyway. Just hand him his diploma and nothing becomes of this. Now it becomes this national story. People were threatening the school. They got an email from someone that said, I will come shoot up the building if you don't give that kid his diploma. And there's a petition with like 102,000 people. And to think that the school, one of the things about schools is, especially the powers that be, they get to puff their chest out a lot and say, here, this is how it is. I am the judge and jury of what we do here. And the school puffed their chest out and said, we're not giving you the diploma because in the bylaws, it says there is a dress code for graduation. And okay, good for you. And now you have 102,000 people who are telling you you're a bunch of idiots. And then they came back and they gave some other company line BS. And they gave the kid, didn't they say they were going to make him apologize?
So the direct statement from the school, this is quoted in their statement. The district statement, the heart of the issue is the fact that the student did not follow the established dress code for the event and detracted from the importance of the ceremony. Our dress code is in place to ensure the dignity of the event is upheld and is fair to all students. Graduation is a milestone event, and it is grossly unfair for one individual to diminish this event by violating the dress code. That is the direct statement from the district.
So he diminished the event. That's
according to them, he diminished the event.
Diminished the event.
And this is, again, it comes back to my idea of like, I just think whether you're a school district or a company or anybody who has some type of leadership, at some point you're going to have to decide which battles you're going to pick. For them to pick the battle that a dress code was more important than somebody's heritage on a day that's supposed to be celebrating the individual's accomplishments, not the school's accomplishments.
Correct.
It doesn't balance out. It just doesn't make a lot of sense that was the hill that they wanted to die on.
I agree. And this is the other aspect where common sense would have fit in if these people ever had to deal in the real world where you have to do these things. After it's over, you can come back and you can enforce the dress code and say, listen, you can't wear anything over top of it because, they don't want people to be wearing their football jersey over their gown, and they don't want people. And I could see how someone could make it a mockery, and they might want to in the future. But he wasn't wearing a Mexican flag to make a mockery of it. He was wearing this because he's of Mexican heritage, and he said he's the first person to graduate, high school from his family, at least graduate in the United States, I assume. So he wasn't doing it to make a mockery of it. He wasn't doing it to be silly or anything like that. So the school, I understand down the road, you can't wear your football jersey. You can't wear a Metallica t-shirt. I get all that. But they should have been like, hey, okay. And then address things in the future. Or here's a novel concept. You can talk to the graduates themselves and say, hey, you know, next year they could have the class of 22 and they could have a meeting and say, how do you guys want to handle this? And we'll handle it. It's your graduation. You handle it how you want.
I think to me, the biggest, I shouldn't say mishap, but the biggest misconception by the school here is the idea that like the prestigiousness of graduating was more about the school than about the individual itself. And that's the part, like they were trying to uphold a standard that made the school look good. And in doing so, it made them look, in my opinion, it made them look horrific.
You're right.
And the other problem too is, like you said, to handle it the way they did in the moment. Like it wasn't like he very easily, like what would have handing his diploma had done? Like you already knew he was on, like how did he get to that point on the stage?
Right.
Like he had the flag on the whole time he was in the line. So to then wait until he's on the stage and then to be shaking his hand and telling him he's not going to get his diploma, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Vice News, to end the story, the principal who stopped Lopez from walking at his ceremony said that the 18-year-old wouldn't receive his diploma until he apologized for wearing the flag. A petition now has more than 102,000 signatures, which you had mentioned, and it's demanding that the graduate receives his diploma. As of today, the district apparently reversed course and on Monday afternoon announced that Lopez is picking up his diploma following a press conference organized by an advocacy group. Pick and choose your hills wisely. And this school district just did not.
I would love to see what the school says during the press conference and how they try to put a positive spin on it and how they try to come out of this not looking like idiots.
Yes.
Because at the press conference, all they should say is, we were stupid and we're sorry and we've learned from it. And if you're a school district out there, don't be as stupid as we were.
Whether you're a company or whether you're breaking up with someone, whatever the situation is, I truly believe this. If they delete their social media accounts, they did something wrong. And the Ashbury School District on Monday morning deleted all of their social media accounts.
Absolutely.
And if that, I mean, again, I'm not saying that's how we should solve everything, but if you delete your social media accounts, like, you know you messed up.
Well, we talk about this all the time, and mostly with you and I, we're joking. And we're like, you know, you should do that. And then you're like, well, yeah. And you realize the repercussions. Like, if I did this, my phone would blow up and this, and you think it'd be funny, but my life would be a mess.
Sure.
Like, it obviously, this school is that myopic that they're like, we don't have to give you your diploma. And they had no guess that this was going to blow up the way it did. And they're dumbfounded. They're like, oh, not giving this kid his diploma. No one's going to care. No one's going to think we're the bad guys here and we're the big bad wolf. And we'll just do it because we can. And I'm the principal and I can. And now 102,000 people are telling them you're stupid and they had to delete their social media.
Yeah. It's they just mishandled it because if you handle it correctly, you almost have a bit of an argument if you handle it correctly. Like, if they would have done it correctly, like, you could say, like, listen, we have a dress code in place. Is there any other way that we can celebrate your heritage? You know, is there any other way that you could do this so that we're, as a class, we're uniformed and, like, it looks like we're together? And they mishandled it so poorly that they have nothing to stand on.
Well, and here's the other thing. Again, like, if this is the first time it's ever happened, like, next year, most kids, when they come to graduation, they want to look like a graduate. They want to blend in, and they, you know, and again, handle it in the future. There may be nobody else at the school that wears a flag for the next 20 years. So you've made a big deal over nothing. Like, let's not, this is the exception to the rule. This kid wanted to do it. Maybe nobody else wants to do it. Like, what if a kid wants to get the Mexican flag tattooed on his face? Are you going to tell him he can't graduate? I'm guessing most other kids won't want to get a flag tattooed on their face. But if it becomes a trend, then you can deal with it. But as long as there's just one exception, just shake the kid's hand. You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Just shake the kid's hand, give him his diploma, and it's all over.
And I mean, this is the other part of it, and this is more like me just causing a ruckus, and you and I could maybe have a behind the stage conversation about this. But it is like, what if it was an American flag? Like, what if it was the school flag? What if it was like how much of it played into the fact that he had a flag draped around him versus what the flag was. And that would be something I would be really interested.
That's a really good question.
I would be interested to hear what the school's case is, because if it's really about the dress code and you just don't want anybody's flag like draped around you, but like if he had the school flag, if he had the North Carolina flag, if he had the American flag, my guess is he would have his diploma. And that's an opinion, but my guess is he would have his diploma when he walked on the stage.
What if you were the principal and he had a Duke flag?
Then no way.
All right. See?
No chance.
See? That's not right.
No chance.
All right.
There's lots of paper over there. Go grab one. Okay. What is proof of vaccination? And this came up this morning. I don't like, do you carry your vaccination card around?
No, but I think I have a picture of it on my phone.
On your phone. Okay. I have been keeping mine in my wallet. Now it doesn't fit perfectly like in it. So what I do is I put it in the dollar bill fold and I just kind of close it. But I keep mine in my wallet, and I mostly just because like I just don't know. Like I don't know if anyone's going to ask to see it. I don't know if it's going to become a thing where like you need to show proof. However, Vice News did a thing about the state of New York, because most places in the state of New York, despite their reopening guidelines, they're not having people actually show their proof of vaccination. I don't so much have an opinion necessarily on if you should or shouldn't have to show your proof of vaccination. However, New York State, based off of their reopening guidelines, your proof of vaccination, you do not have to show your card. The owner of the restaurant or bar or facility or wherever it is you're going, they only have to ask you if you have been vaccinated. And if you say yes, you are given admittance into the building. So I'm just not really sure what proof of vaccination means if you don't have to show. It'd be like a cop pulling you over and a cop saying, do you have a driver's license? And all you had to do for proof of driver's license was say yes. And then the cop, and then that was it. Like that was so I don't like, you and I have talked a lot about how the environment, the world that we are in now post-COVID, there are a lot of things happening that just do not add up. It doesn't even matter what side of the fence you sit on. There's just things we're doing as a society that make zero sense. And when I saw this morning, this was one of them.
Well, you left out an important part. You do have to say Scouts on. So that changes a lot.
It's like, I'm not even saying that I want to have a vaccination card policy. All I'm saying though is like, if those are your guidelines, like if you're the state of New York and you are telling people that you can only go if you're vaccinated, then do it. Then like actually uphold it.
No,
like,
I get it.
Force restaurants and bars and people to actually like, you have to show the vaccination card and there has to be a system and people can come in. Otherwise, just don't do it. Like, just don't say that there's a vaccination code to opening up.
I thought your example was going to be a cop pulls you over and says, have you been drinking? And all you have to do is say no.
No. I mean, any of them work.
But yeah, I guess. But the driver's license was a better example because it's a little card and it's not as like DUI is certainly more dangerous to society than driving without a license.
Sure.
But that was, but yeah, could you imagine a cop pulling you? Do you have a license? Sure. Is this your car? Sure.
Yes.
Have you been drinking? No, never. Not in years. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. It's insane. And again, we get into this hierarchy of law that they put this in place to look good. It sounds good.
Does it?
And
to me,
I think it looks stupid. I'm with you.
I think it looks absolutely ridiculous.
I'm with you. But somebody thought, well, we have to have something in place, but we can't really enforce it.
I think it makes it look as if you're pro-vaccination, I think this looks awful. Like if you're pro-vaccination, and again, I'm vaccinated and I carry my card around with me. I have no issue. Like if the state of New York came out and said, you do not have to show your vaccination card to go in, all this stuff, great. If the state of New York says you have to show your vaccination card, great. I don't care either way, but don't josh us around. Like, don't act as if it matters when it doesn't.
Josh, you just use Josh as a verb. Very nice.
It makes no sense. The other, like, I don't really have another example, but the last thing that I would say about it is if if I'm pro-vaccination, how bad does my argument look now to be pro-vaccination? Because now anybody who's not vaccinated can just say, like, see, they don't even care.
Well,
Like,
how about
you didn't
this?
even need to get vaccinated.
This is the one I was thinking.
I'm standing in the same place you are, and I don't have a vaccination. So it just puts this double-edged sword of, like, it allows each side to combat each other when they don't need to.
Well, if you're pro-vaccination, then part of your thing is like, I'm not going to get it, and you might. But what I was thinking is, say you're someone who's anti-vaccination, and you're very public about anti-vaccination, and all over your social media, you're like, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. And you walk up to the bar, and they say, have you been vaccinated? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, well, it's funny, because here on your Facebook page, it says that you don't want to get vaccinated. He's like, oh, I did.
Yeah, but
like
they're not going to do it.
Well, I know, but it's like, it's ridiculous.
It makes no sense.
And the people, and again, so to go back to a previous topic, that nowhere in this did the state government say, you know what, we're going to get made fun of for this a lot.
No. So, like, and this was the example. So New York State has the Excelsior Pass, which is basically your digital version of your vaccination card. So basically, you have to have hard proof to enter. A majority seem to be relying on the honor system. So you said, like, Scouts Honor, like this bar owner in New York says it's really the honor system, which the state accepts as proof for folks to be indoors without a mask. The manager basically said that bars requiring proof of vaccination to enter and not wear a mask indoors are going above and beyond the state guidelines. Under New York's reopening plan, businesses only need to ask someone whether they're fully vaccinated in order to obtain proof. That is absurd. There, in no other aspect of life do you just have to ask someone to obtain concept of proof. None. Name another, like, even to get on a roller coaster, you've got to go stand by the ruler and show that you're 4 feet tall.
It took a while till you were tall enough for roller coasters.
It did. Well, I hate roller coasters. But But you understand what I'm saying.
Well, no. Okay, now we have a new topic. You don't like roller coasters?
I don't like roller coasters.
Why?
Name another aspect in life where there's a proof of concept where you just have to say yes or no. None. You have a registration, you have a show of proof, you have a card, you have to stand by a ruler to get on a roller coaster. Like, it's insane. It's insane.
No, I'm with you. I'm not. I'm now. My mind is off in other places.
That's fine.
And I was going to say something, and now I can't remember.
You've been a train wreck. You keep looking at your phone.
I keep getting buzzed, and I was reading. Something has. I'm
We're
intrigued.
doing a show.
Well, I wanted to make sure
people are dependent.
This is what after you said that, I was like, I do have a picture of it, don't I? So I had to scroll through my photos real quick to find the picture, and I do. I have a picture of my vaccine card. Yes. Yeah.
97 episodes in, and you've officially lost focus.
Whatever.
It is. Yeah,
I can't carry us every day. I can't. I try, and I just can't.
That's what it is. Yeah, I hate roller coasters. I can't do them.
Why?
There's something about the aspect of, like, well, first of all, I do get car sick, like if I'm in the passenger side, like.
Well, I do now that I'm older. I've issues with that.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a part of it. Is just like the physical nuance, like it's just not.
But it's always been an issue.
Always been an issue, yeah. And then on top of it, like, to me, the fear aspect of it isn't fun. Like, some people like the adrenaline.
But there's no fear.
No, like the adrenaline part of it. Like, for people, like, it's the adrenaline. It's like there is like a fear aspect.
You can't fly off the track.
Doesn't matter. That doesn't mean people aren't afraid when they're at the top of that roller coaster.
Nobody's afraid at the top of the roller coaster.
Yes, they are. You're so full. The people are afraid when they're at the top.
See, now I can't, as I've gotten older, and this is interesting, I wonder how many people are like this. I can't do the spinning ones anymore. Like the teacups and the one that sucks you to the wall like this. And like the last time I did that, I was like, I'm halfway through the ride thinking I'm puking on the kid next to me. And I'm just dripping. And so, and as a kid, I like went on all of them. And you were just like, you just ran from one. I got to probably about 30. And the spinning ones really, really get me. I've never puked, but when I get off, I feel not good.
Are we still talking about the roller coaster rides?
Well, now we're talking about spinnies, like the teacups.
Spinnies, that's what you call them, spinnies.
Well, all the ones that spin. Even like the Cosmotron at Knoebels.
What about like the swings?
Because the swings I was okay. But I don't like the last time I did the swings, I was okay. Do they still have those?
Yeah, they still have swings. Swings
Okay.
are a thing. Thank you to Weis Markets. Thank you for being our title sponsor. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs here, all throughout North Central Pennsylvania. Also, thank you to Moon and Raven. Thank you to Eat and Run Catering. Thank you to the Break Room and all of our other sponsors for the Midday Show. In order to have a chance to win, go to the Facebook group, The Midday Show. Click, follow along, play along with us, and you are automatically entered for a chance to have your name drawn. If we draw your name, that special prize wheel over Mark's shoulder, we get to spin it, and if you land on something, you get it. Friday, mass shipping day, T-shirts, we're shipping them out.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Loser wheel stuff on Friday. So Friday, 100th episode, new intro. We're excited for it. So today's random winner from the Midday Show Facebook group is Amy Woodring. Back-to-back compound last names. I know that really matters to you. So congratulations.
Well, you're an English major guy, so that does come out. I would not have. Now I can't not see it, but I would not have. When I saw the name Woodring, I wouldn't have thought compound word. But
back to back. What was yesterday's? Nearhoof? I think yesterday was Nearhoof. Nearhoof, Woodring. Great names. Great compound names.
And so what goes along with a great name? A great spin. I missed yesterday. When's the last time I missed 2 in a row? It was I think it was during the Bush administration, wasn't it? It's been a while. So I'm not even going to stand up today. I'm that cool and I'm that lazy. And here we go. We'll show you here. Here's the $100 gift card. That's what we're trying to hit. $100 Weis gift card for Amy Woodring. The spin is up. We're not close to the 100. Shoot, 0 for 2. It's a bad week. Bad week. Yeah. My offense has gone the way of the Yankees.
Is baseball still a thing? They're still doing that?
Oh, yes. And hockey playoffs last night were great. Great.
You already know my opinion of that. John Mackey can't join us today for Quizzo.
He could if he wanted to.
If he was dedicated like us. I would like to say to John Mackey, I was at the beach for 5 days, and I think I did the show 3 of them. So, John's just not as dedicated. If you see this, John, we'll forgive you, but not today.
Maybe.
So what we're going to do, Mark came up with 3 questions for me. We're going to go through them here. You guys can play along. If you know the answer, throw it in the comments. If you want to make a guess, throw it in the comments. Maybe you can help me out. Maybe I can use them as a lifeline here. I did get to see the 3 right before the show. I don't know the answers to any of the 3 of them, but you did a good job picking questions because they are workable questions. They're questions where I can kind of chip away and we can have discussion.
I think they're fun. And we talked about this yesterday, and I said I'll come up with questions for you. You come up with questions for me. Right. Jeff couldn't come up with any questions that I didn't know the answer to. He's like, there's nothing out there that Mark doesn't know.
The problem is anything
except rap from 2009.
The problem is anything you would know, I'm disinterested in.
That's a fair point. That is truthful. All right, here we go. Question number 1.
Okay.
Do you want me to read? Do you want me to just say it, or do you want to put it?
No, go ahead.
There are 9 pre-colonial colleges, 7 of which are Ivy League schools, which are like Princeton, Yale, Dartmouth, Harvard.
Well, don't give it away.
Whatever.
What if I didn't know the Ivy League?
Those are the Ivy League schools. Well, if you don't know the Ivy League schools, then you're too dumb to get the rest of the question.
That's rude.
Name the 2, or either of the 2. We'll look for one.
Okay.
One of the 2 that are not Ivy League that are pre-colonial colleges.
Okay. I have one guess. I have one that I feel good about, and I would not be surprised if it was right. I won't be shocked if it's wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's right. My first guess would be Richmond.
Do you want me to? Are we done?
Or do you want me to keep talking through it? I'll keep talking through it. My first guess would be Richmond. I thought about Boston University, and then I even thought about just I wanted to think of smaller campuses. So this is a bad example, but your Philadelphia University, your Franklin and Marshall's, schools that would be maybe.
Okay, well, let me give you a hint.
Okay. Are you implying that none of mine are right?
We'll just keep talking.
Okay.
They are all Division I colleges.
Okay.
So BU counts, Richmond counts because they are Division I. So they would qualify.
Okay.
One of them is in a Power 5 conference, and one of them is not.
Okay. One of them is in a Power 5 conference, and one of them is not.
But they're all Division I, so it ain't like Moravian is a very, very old college, but it went through different names, and it was a girls' college and a seminary and things like that. But, so it's nothing like Moravian. Lycoming is a very old college. Lycoming is like one of the 50 oldest colleges in the. I think it started 1812 or something.
I like my Richmond guess. For some reason, that was the first one that came to mind, and I really liked it.
The Spiders.
Yes.
Well, Richmond is neither of them.
Okay. I would go Boston University.
Which is also a very logical guess, but it is not that either.
Okay. Those would have been my first two guesses. Now you've kind of lost me. Like I'm kind of in the nethers. Like Drexel comes to mind, LaSalle, Villanova, the Philadelphia schools. And then I'm trying to think of like Northeastern, like I'm trying like Holy Cross. Like I'm trying to think of like Northeastern schools that might fall into that. But I mean, like New York, like NYU. No, this was a good question.
The Power 5 one is Rutgers.
Rutgers is one of the original 9 pre-colonial schools.
It was around.
I never would have guessed that.
Pre-colonial.
Okay.
And the other one, I'll give you, since these are all the Ivy Leagues are north and Rutgers is north, we need a college in the south a little bit. So
Charleston?
So no, William and Mary.
Oh. But see, William and Mary is sneaky because most people don't know that's a Division I school.
But you do because you're smart.
I do know that. That was a good question. It's like Rutgers really surprises me. I mean, I guess it's New Jersey and I get that, but like, I just don't think of Rutgers as old.
Well, see, and I wouldn't either. One of the other things I did, for most of us here, we grew up, especially my age, all we knew of Rutgers was Penn State beat the crap out of them every fall. And that was our relationship with Rutgers. We knew they were red, they were in New Jersey, and Penn State would bludgeon them. Rutgers is a really good school.
Yeah.
Rutgers is a much better academic institution than you would have ever thought.
No, I believe it. My first guess was going to be Penn. And then like, as I was thinking about it, I was like, Penn's definitely Ivy.
Penn is in the Ivy.
But that was the first school I was going to guess. And I was like, they're definitely Ivy.
So
I'm really bummed about the Richmond guess. I thought
that, you know what?
I really thought Richmond.
When you fired out Richmond, and I think I told you this, I think I read this somewhere. So it wasn't like asked to me. But Richmond is a perfect guess.
Yeah. I felt really good about my Richmond and Boston.
Yeah, that was good. No, your guesses were intelligent, but you just didn't get lucky. But you were right. You were in the ballpark.
Okay. All right. That was a good one.
Question number 2. Is the question number 2 the marriage question?
Yes.
Okay. What was the last? In 1967, the federal government declared that it was illegal to deny people interracial marriage, but states have state laws. So, what was the last state to lift the ban on interracial marriage? And then as a fun little bonus, you'll never get it. This is just a wild guess, but in what year did the last state lift it? But what is the last state to lift the ban? It was 1967 is when the federal government said it, but then each state had to go through and ratify it.
See, I feel like the year I don't have like an educated guess. Like I would just be throwing darts at the board trying to guess.
But it's just it's a tidbit for our listeners to tell their friends.
I mean, initially, you and I, like I said to you, questions like this, you initially think the South. I don't know, though, but I've also said to you before, like a lot of these questions, it ends up being kind of like not the deep South. It ends up being like those fringe states like Maryland, Virginia, places like that. This is 100% a guess. I'm trying to think of a state that wouldn't be obvious, but also I could see them being 5, 10, 15 years behind. I'm going to guess South Carolina.
They were second to last. Very good.
Very
good. And I think they were maybe like 2 or 3 years, but they were second to last.
I just know that South Carolina has been a state. I shouldn't say has been because like, I just know that in its past, it was a state that kind of like lagged a little bit.
Didn't they have the Confederate flag over the Capitol building for a long time?
Yes. They've kind of, nothing
that's
against
good.
people in South Carolina, but
you did well with
they tend to lag behind. I mean, my original guess was going to be Virginia. I don't think it's right, but I'll say Virginia before you give me the answer.
Okay, it is not Virginia.
Okay.
If you were just going to go like Like right off the top of your head, if you didn't overthink it, where are you going?
I would have said Georgia, Bama, Louisiana,
Alabama.
Okay. I mean, that's it. I don't want to say it's too obvious. There was such a, I don't know. I should not be speaking about this, but there was such a movement sometimes that sometimes those deep South states did things before, like the Tennessees and the Virginias and the Marylands, because that's where the push was, where they felt the issues were. So then, like, states like South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia lagged behind.
I know what you mean. I think in Lincoln, they talked about with the ratification, they needed 2 southern states to ratify the amendment. And I think Louisiana was one of the southern states. Like, when Lincoln's doing the negotiation right at the very end, they're like, we'll get the votes. Okay. And the guy said, and maybe Arkansas too. Because Lincoln's like, we had 3.
Are you about to blow my mind with the year, or am I not going to be that surprised?
It depends how, it depends.
1980.
2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is that like a paperwork thing, or
well,
what?
Yes, but was it in practice? I don't know. But here, I pulled this up too. Or is it on my computer? Maybe I don't know if I can switch to it. But here's this. In our world, this sounds incredibly unfeasible.
I was 13.
2000. But in 2002, while I was researching this, because I knew all these off the top of my head, but I wanted to double check them to make sure I was right before, because I'm a professional like that. In 2002, they did a Gallup poll, which that's what Gallup does. They do polls.
Sure.
Like, this is no fly. This isn't us asking people on the street corner.
Sure.
2002, they did a Gallup poll about interracial marriage and how many people were opposed to it. In 2002, where you were 15 years old, 29% of Americans were still opposed to interracial marriage in 2002.
So but
now it's down to like 11%. But
yes, the part that I don't have a hard time believing. The part I have a hard time believing, there had to be people getting married in the state of South Carolina that were interracial marriages.
I think South Carolina was 97, 98, and Alabama was 2000. I did not look up the South Carolina. Alabama was 2000. I did not look up South Carolina. That's off the top of my head. But yes, was it being enforced? I don't know. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to get Bama and South Carolina off the hook. I'm just saying, like, I can't imagine. I don't think there's getting them off the hook.
I can't imagine someone walking up to the courthouse in 2000 being turned away for that ban.
Yep.
You blew my mind with that one.
That's what I'm here to do, buddy.
I was close with the South Carolina one.
That's what I'm here to do.
All right, last one.
All right, this one's fun just because you have a Ryan Reynolds love affair.
I do.
So according to, I looked this one up. This one I didn't know off the top of my head. This was my do some research Jeff question.
Okay.
According to Rotten Tomatoes and the not the audience,
right,
but the critics.
Right.
What is the highest rated Ryan Reynolds movie? And I will give you a hint because he's been a bunch of movies.
Sure.
I'd never heard of it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that changes a lot.
Yeah.
So my initial,
because my first thought was Deadpool 2.
Well, yeah, but Deadpool is a very, I don't want to say it's a niche crowd, but there's a crowd of people who will never watch Deadpool.
Well, it is a niche crowd. Only people who like to laugh watch Deadpool.
Well, yeah,
and if you don't like humor, don't watch it.
Some people don't have your sense of humor.
Tell me how good Deadpool is.
Deadpool's great.
Okay, that's it. That's all I need to hear.
But I laugh with you. There are people who don't laugh with
Yes, I realize there are people. Those people have a sad existence.
This is, so like just some obvious ones. My gut guess was The Proposal. But there's no way you haven't seen The Proposal, is there?
Who's in it? Who's the girl?
Sandra Bullock.
They worked together. Wasn't he a boss?
She's the boss.
I've seen The Proposal.
Okay. That was my first guess because when The Proposal came out, it was hard to find anybody who did not love The Proposal. So that was my initial guess. I immediately, I know it's not Green Lantern.
No.
I love Just Friends, but I'm assuming it is not Just Friends.
No.
There is a sneaky rom-com called Definitely Maybe that people tend to like, but it never got like the acclaim that it maybe should have gotten. So those would be right now. Proposal, definitely maybe, would be my like initial two guesses. I don't think it's Hitman's Bodyguard. I don't think it's R.I.P.D. I don't think. Now he's made some appearances. Like he was in one of the comic book movies. This was like 10, 15 years ago. He was in.
No, this is one that he was like.
He was like the headline.
It wasn't like a
All right. I told you about the movie Buried, so I doubt it was Buried. Even though I enjoyed Buried. And I don't know. I mean, I have pulled up like the images of movies for Ryan Reynolds. So I don't have like a list or anything, but it's just like stuff. And I didn't see anything that would have like, I don't know. Six Underground was a Netflix movie. I doubt it was that. All right. Here's my three guesses, and you can tell me if you.
And I'll throw this out while you're still thinking out loud, because we've got to the point in the show where no one's listening anymore.
Everyone's listening.
The audience only gave it 55%. So while the critics loved this and gave it 91, the audience didn't agree.
Okay, so it's not The Proposal, because there's no way. I think it's down to definitely maybe. And I think it's down to Adventureland, which I actually talked about Adventureland when we did the movie stuff at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. However, he's not the lead in Adventureland. I'm going to say definitely maybe. He was also in a movie called Life, which was the one where they're on the spaceship and they're bringing the alien home. As like Jake Gyllenhaal and a bunch of other famous people. I'm going to say definitely maybe.
The answer is a movie called Mississippi Grind.
Oh, it's about gambling. I've seen Mississippi Grind. I never would have thought of that. I don't think it's his best movie. It is highly entertaining. And this is the other part too. Critics find me a gambling movie that critics didn't like.
I've never heard of this movie.
Mississippi Grind. It's good. It's not great. It's, if you're bored, it's worth a watch, but like, don't run home to watch Mississippi Grind.
I mean, when I went through it, and this is how stupid I am, I thought the answer was going to be Deadpool. So I was like, this isn't really going to be a good question because I know what the answer is already, and I'm not the Ryan Reynolds fan that you are. And when I got to I was like, I've never heard of this movie, so there has to be a story.
Adventureland had to be, I would assume Adventureland was high. Maybe not, though. Again, he wasn't the lead for that, though. That was a really good question. He was also he was in Safe House. His catalog.
Safe House was with Denzel, isn't it?
Correct.
I just watched that. That did not get as wonderfully reviewed as I just watched that a little bit ago. That was good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'd seen it way back when it first came out, and then I stumbled across it.
The one that people always forget, and I was just when it came out, I was at the right age. He was Van Wilder in National Lampoon's Van Wilder.
Do you know how badly Van Wilder was rated by the critics?
Oh, they probably hated it.
It was like 18%.
Yes. But see, growing up, that was Ryan. I mean, that was perfect. That was Ryan Reynolds and what you wanted him to do.
Yeah, I guess.
No, it was when you were a 19, 20-year-old kid, that was exactly what you wanted him to do. So that was a great question. Sorry, I don't know.
I mean, I knew that. If you'd have got that.
Mississippi Grind is not, again, critics, for whatever reason, critics love gambling movies. They do. As long as there's a casino and there's a table and there's cards, critics, for whatever reason, they just love them.
I guess I'll have to watch it to see. Who's the other dude in it? I can't even tell.
Mississippi Grind. He's an older guy. I'm blanking on his name.
2015, so it's a few years old.
It's good. It's not, again, don't run home to watch it.
But when you were rattling off the other ones, the Proposal I'd heard of, the Proposal I'd seen, what was definitely maybe I'd seen. As I'm scrolling through these, Van Wilder I'd seen, and there were some that and then I get to this, and that's why I went with the question, because I needed a little background, and I knew you watched it because you've watched all of his movies.
Pretty close.
There's some of them,
I haven't seen Selfless was a movie he just came out with a couple years ago. I didn't watch that one. And then he just put out one where he's a video game dude, and I haven't watched that one either.
Oh, you know what he was he Pikachu?
Yes, but he wasn't. But he was Pikachu.
He was good. He was good.
Yeah,
My
but
kids,
he's not,
we all
he's
watched
not
it.
in Pikachu
Because of the pandemic, my kids thought it may win Best Picture. So there's only like 3 movies that came out this year. So this might win.
That's
so
good.
We watched it, and it was actually surprisingly entertaining.
Yeah, the one on Netflix that Michael Bay did. It is not a good movie, but there's like 3 or 4 or 5 action scenes where Ryan Reynolds kind of throwing out like one-liners as they're like racing cars and flipping boats and like all this stuff. It is entertaining. Not a good movie, but it is like your ideal like action Ryan Reynolds comedy. Like it's good.
I am ready. As I was reminded of this summer, we've got the Hitman's bodyguard's wife, who is the Hitman's bodyguard. Is that mean Ryan Reynolds' life, or is that Selma Hayek?
It's Selma Hayek.
Okay. If you haven't seen Hitman's Bodyguard, you are missing out. Do you still have my copy of Hitman's Bodyguard? I need it back. All the movies I've given you, I need it back.
You can have them. You're more than welcome to them.
Yeah, you're
real quick through the comments. Braden Miller, one of my players. Good to see you, Braden. Heather, Jeff looks super bright. Mark looks really dim. That's pretty much how you would. That's how I would describe more than just our shirts.
Say, is she talking about the lighting, or is she talking about?
That's how I would describe a lot of our aspects of life.
Thanks, Heather.
So
thank
you.
Thanks, Heather. Good friend you are.
Erica agrees with the school. A dress code is a dress code. I kind of, at the end of it, I sort of went along with Erica in the sense that I said, if they would have handled it better, they would have had some sense of a ground to stand on. But the way they handled it was just so off.
The school, a dress code is a dress code. But now they have 100,000 people telling them they look like idiots. And all they had to do was hand it. And again, what's done is done. He's already on the stage. He wore it through the ceremony. He wore it up on the stage. Like, there's an aspect, if this is in the back room and they're like, dude, you can't do that. Or, let's.
Or just when you see the flag on him and he's like the 60th kid in the line, like just maybe handle it before he's actually on the stage in front of it.
But he got to wear it. So once he got to wear it, just hand him his diploma, which again, he's already, so like, say the kid's home sick in bed. Does he not get his diploma? Of course he does. He already earned it. So I'm not going to give it to you today. Just made him look bad. It made him look bad. And I agree, going in the future, like I said, no football jerseys, no Metallica shirts, although Metallica shirt would be cool. But,
Tekla Kennett, I'm baking like a roasted chicken. This was one time when I was a kid. You'll appreciate this because I get car sick, like I told you.
Is this a line from?
It was written. No. I was in the back of a car. You're focusing on the wrong thing, as usual. I'm telling a story.
That's because I'm the dim one.
No.
I'm the dim cohort.
I get car sick. I was in the back of the car. I was probably like 8, maybe 9. And I was so car sick and I was so hot and I was sweating. And annoying little me just yelled from the back of the car, I'm baking like a roasted chicken. And to this day, everyone in my family remembers that I'm baking like a roasted chicken. So there you go.
I find it hard to believe you were annoying at 9.
I could be. I certainly could be. And last one from Heather. Jeff knows way too many Ryan Reynolds movies. I do, but also like he just does it for him. Go ahead, say he's dreamy. Go ahead, just say it. It's not about being dreamy. He, at a time, like this is from my age of like 14 all the way up to like 24. He was like in the prime of his rom-com like era. And when you are going on dates and you're doing stuff, it's a heck of a lot easier to sit through a Ryan Reynolds rom-com than it is to watch The Notebook for the 10th time. And so for that reason, I am a Ryan Reynolds saved a lot of my boring date nights, movie nights where someone else, the girl wanted to pick the movie or whatever. And I'd be like, let's watch Just Friends. Let's watch The Proposal. He saved a lot of nights that I would have had to drag through something else.
And let's be honest. First of all, your first suggestion was, let's watch the Lakers game. That was your first suggestion.
That was usually already on. It wasn't even like, that's usually what was on the screen. So
if Ryan Reynolds came out of the closet today, you would question some things about yourself.
Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
No.
you would start trying to decide if it was worth pursuing a relationship with him. That's how big of a
with
fan
Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think
there are people. Have you ever heard like Daniel Tosh talk about how like there are people that are just so beautiful on this earth, like they just transcend, like they just transcend like any sexual orientation or gender. Like they're just so he's like with Brad.
So you're I don't know his first name. Is this Tosh Point Oh?
Yes.
Is that okay?
So
I didn't know he had a first name until right now.
So he does this whole thing about like Brad Pitt and David Beckham and how like when they walk in a room, like there's no defining them. Like it's Brad Pitt. Like you can't define them. Like they're so perfect. Like it is. So no, like I don't think that way of Ryan Reynolds. Like
Did I ever tell you this story?
that.
Which I probably shouldn't tell on the air, but I will anyway. Because when my ex and I, when we used to watch ER, do you remember ER? Or are you too young for that?
I mean, I remember it. I never watched.
Okay, well George Clooney was on. That's where it's not his first show, but
Doogie Howser? Or that was the kid?
That was the kid.
Okay.
Yeah, so George Clooney was one of the doctors, and that's where he really made his name for himself. And we would watch it it's a great show. Yeah. And every time he would come on the screen, I would go, you know, he really is hot. My ex would look at me, she goes, you're ruining it. You're ruining it. Just shut up. And every scene that he was in, I'd be like, you know, he is hot. She's like, you're ruining the show. You just need to stop commenting because you're ruining the show. So yeah, I can.
No, my girlfriend and I, like, if we'll say she'll say how attractive someone is, and also.
Well, women are different. Women are different.
So?
Guys don't. No guy looks and says, yeah, Brad Pitt. Yeah, I mean, we know it, but we don't say it.
No, my favorite thing is when, like, this is wrong because of like occupations, but like you'll see somebody that's doing a certain occupation and they're like perfect. Like they're like, there's nothing out of place. Every hair's perfect. Like they look like they just got out of a shower, like everything else. And like, I always say to her, like, there's no way. Like, there's no way that guy or that girl is doing that occupation looking like that. Like, so that's one of my pet peeves that I always call out is like, there's just no way, and vice versa. No. Like, there's no way that person could do that because they're just too clean or they're too clean shaven or like, it's just no way.
But if you're sitting in a bar and you're at a table and there's, 4 guys and 4 girls or whatever, and you're talking about a girl across the room and you're getting opinions, the girls will fire out their opinions as well. Oh, if they're talking about a guy across the room, the guys don't chime in.
Maybe more now than they did before.
I don't think.
You don't think so?
No. Or they're just giving an opinion that's negative. Like, he's an idiot. But the guy is going, well, he's all right. Where the girls will go into deep thought about, well, she's pretty, but the guys is like, guys, whatever.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thanks for watching the Midday Show, brought to you by Weis Markets. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. And thank you to NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your local news throughout the summer.
I'm going to go to Weis Markets on my way home and see if I can buy a copy of Mississippi Grind.
Good.
I'm going to have a tough time finding this movie, I think.
I've been holding out on you. There's these things called streaming services. You don't even have to go to the store anymore. But it's not on Netflix. Sit down, you'll find it. You rent it off of Amazon. You can get it off of YouTube. You'll find it. This idea of getting in your car and going to the store to find Mississippi Grind.
I still buy DVDs.
Thank you for watching the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Have a great day.
I don't like him very much.